I'm Corbin Smith.
And I'm Tad Hensinger.
Listen in every Tuesday to the Seahawks Central Radio podcast on the Pro Football Central Radio Network.
Want info on the latest draft prospects?
Need the scoop on the latest developments at off-season workouts and training camp?
Craving in-depth analysis after every Seahawks game?
We've got you covered, 12s. We cover everything Seahawks year-round for the best fans in the National Football League.
Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at PFC_Seahawks and listen to our latest podcast each Tuesday on ProFootballCentral.com.
Experience the difference.
And welcome, 12th Man, Seahawks Central Radio, exclusive interview. Joining us tonight on the phone, Seahawks running back Demitrius Bronson. Bronson rushed for nearly 4,000 yards at Kentwood High School. So we're talking about a local prospect here for the Seahawks. After graduating, he enrolled at the University of Washington, played there for one season, was there his second year as a redshirt before going to Eastern Washington. Thanks for joining us tonight, Demitrius.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
So, Demitrius, being a homegrown prospect, obviously you've grown up in the Seattle area. It's at May, the draft is finished up. What was your initial reaction when you looked at the phone and you're realizing, wait a second, the Seahawks are the team that's calling me? What was your reaction at that point?
I was excited. Obviously, I actually remember getting a phone call, and I kind of drew a blank for a minute. I forgot who was talking to me, but I couldn't remember my name. I really couldn't remember my agent's name, and because I was just in just joy of happiness, and especially being from Seattle, and it's just like, gosh, this is a dream come true.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I actually grew up in Indiana, but I wouldn't have minded being drafted by the Colts, but always been a Seahawks fan. But I can only imagine what your initial reaction was at that point. Did you grow up a Seahawks fan?
Oh yeah, definitely. I grew up, watching Sean Alexander in my day and whatnot, and Marshawn Lynch. So yeah, I was always a big Seahawks fan, and more so under the radar, because every time you say you root for a Seattle team, everybody tries to give you crap from different states. But yeah, I'm a big Seattle fan, and so playing for them is just amazing.
I can only imagine getting picked up by your favorite team, the team that you grew up, in the same area. My next question here, now, I've had a chance to talk with your brother now, John Bronson. He played briefly in the NFL for the Arizona Cardinals. How much have you learned from him, and how has his prior experience really helped guide you? Because he also an undrafted free agent that signed with the Cardinals. How has he helped you through this process as an undrafted rookie?
Oh, every step of the way. I've leaned on him, and he's mentored me in every phase possible, telling me the good and the bad, about, what's about to happen with the draft, and, what to expect, and, how you should handle certain things. Yeah, he's my brother, but he's just kind of been that mentoring partner for me, because, it's a lot you have to go through, and there's a lot of loops and holes, you need to know before going into stuff, and so he's played a big role. From even helping me talk to my agent, talking to different teams, talking, to different trainers that I'm training with, and I do believe, it's a process, and you want to make sure you take the right process, and making your decisions and everything. And so, without him, I'd probably be lost.
Yeah, it's definitely a much more complicated process for undrafted rookies than it is for the guys that get picked. Obviously, getting drafted does not guarantee that you are going to make an NFL roster by any means, but it's obviously a much tougher route for a player like yourself that has to, work out in front of teams and then draw interest after the draft. Were the Seahawks the only team that contacted you?
Yes, I had a couple of teams. San Diego was on the verge. The Steelers were on the verge, but those were just verbal through my agent. Telling me, hey, they were interested in you. They wanted to know some more info, but there wasn't other steps than that. So really, the Seahawks I'm going to say, are the ones that, were really searching me.
Seattle's the perfect landing spot, though, if you haven't been drafted, especially under this current regime. I mean, undrafted players, you got Doug Baldwin, Jermaine Kearse, those guys have made careers for themselves. So it's obviously the perfect destination for somebody that doesn't get drafted to make it into the league. You just wrapped up your first professional training camp, Demitrius. Looking back at what you expected going in, did the reality of training camp compare to your expectations? Or did it exceed it, or was it not as difficult as you expected?
Oh, no. I mean, it was definitely difficult. I mean, because you're going into something knowing you're going to be looked at, every day, just being, an undrafted free agent. So you have to try to do things perfect, pretty much. And so, but with that, it kind of just made me work even harder, study my playbook a little bit more, stay after practice and run around and catch my wind a little bit more, go up to special teams coaches to pick their brains. And so, I knew going into it, any training camp, I don't think it is easy, but I think it's really how you approach the situation to see whether you're going to go left or right, and obviously I want to keep going up. And so, I wanted to attack it, hey, I got a chance, Pete's giving me an opportunity. I'm going to take, the most out of this because a lot of times this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and you don't know when your name's going to be called, and you don't know when your last day is going to be. And so my thing, just going into it every day, even though it's over, we still have, three more weeks left of, preseason football, just competing every single day and seeing where that lands me.
Obviously, Demetrius, playing in your first NFL game, you got to do something that most football players can only dream of doing. Obviously, you're hoping that there's a lot more there than just a couple preseason games. But when you look back at that first game last weekend, and by the way, I was really impressed with how you played. I had not actually seen more than a little bit of film on you being from Eastern Washington. I'd only seen a couple clips, but I was pretty impressed with how you performed. What was it like being on an NFL field for the first time, like an official game action, and how would you grade out your performance last week?
It was exciting, like I said, it's one of those things that you want it to come to reality, and all of a sudden it's here, and you're playing football on an NFL field instead of watching it on TV. But going into it, I wasn't nervous because just you practice how you're gonna play. So down with the Hawks, we go 100% every single day. So if you're doing that day in and day out, the game is the easy part. The game should be the fun part where you get excited. You get to go hit other players besides your own teammates. And so, obviously there were some jitters because you want to do well in the game. But after that first play, it was like, oh man, it's just football. So, now we can have fun. As far as grading out, I think I played okay. I just wanted to go in, making sure, I had no mental bust, just doing my job and just, showing the coaches that you can count on me as a player and just as a teammate, and I'm just gonna put my heart on the line for this guys.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation where, trying to grade yourself is difficult, especially when it's your first NFL game. You want to give yourself the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, you want to push yourself to a certain point. You can't be satisfied, and the Seahawks live and die by that. Now, Demetrius, I've done a lot of research on your high school and college career, and obviously high school, nearly 4,000 rushing yards, an outstanding career. Get to the college level, you battled through a lot of adversity as a college player, injuries, transferring schools. How has that adversity prepared you for the NFL, and do you believe these prior experiences will help you with the Seahawks down the road?
Oh yeah, definitely. I look back on how my my road was and how it was, and I wouldn't change nothing, the way I went, because I just think through all the transferring schools and, changing positions and being hurt and starting and not starting, I just think it mentally helped me as a person and as a football player to want to push even more, to want to be able to show people that, hey, I'm a tailback and I'm gonna work until I say I'm done. I didn't want to put it in the coach's hands or anybody else's hands. I just wanted to keep working because I deep down inside I truly knew I was a tailback and I have passion for that. And so through all those experiences, I just think it just shaped me mentally and to who I am, the person today. I mean, I think without those, obviously, I would still be working hard and competing, but I really think it just helped me, especially through this training camp. I mean, it's been highs and lows. I've had good days. I've had, really bad days, but to keep pushing to the next day is how you stay alive.
I can tell you what, Demetrius, there's a lot of, on our Facebook page, Seahawks Central Radio, we've had a lot of fans. We've asked them certain players that they wanted us to pursue for interviews, and your name came up first on a number of our listeners. And the big reasons why, obviously, local product, but a lot of people really appreciate what you have battled through, and to get to this point where you are performing well for the Seattle Seahawks, the 12s are really pulling for you. Last question for the night. Again, we thank you so much for joining Seahawks Central Radio. What quality, skills as a player and teammate do you think you bring to the table that will help secure you a spot on this team's final roster looking forward here?
I mean, just knowing that I'm going to compete every day. I'm going to, no matter the situation or the circumstance, I'm going to bring it every day, whether I'm third on the depth chart, first, second, or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to compete every day, and just because when you bring a competitive edge, you bring it out in others too. And so not only do I want to make myself better, I want to make my teammates around me better, and that's how ultimately you win championships. Because when you're making everybody else better, it's just a plus for you and your team. It's just your team starts to build a strong bond that nobody can break. And so obviously just bringing that competitive edge and just being myself, being me.
I tell you what, Demetrius, that was an absolutely great answer, because when the Seahawks are looking for players, obviously talent is a big deal, but they also are looking for the players that have competitive fire, and that's why guys like Doug Baldwin and Jermaine Kearse have been able to become really good starters for this team, because they don't care that they were drafted or undrafted. They're looking for guys with that fire, and I can see it on the field already that you definitely fit what the Seahawks are looking for. You're on the right team to mentor you with guys like Marshawn Lynch, Christian Michael, and Robert Turbin in front of you. I wish you the best of luck for the rest of training camp, especially or rest of preseason. Tomorrow night against the Chargers, I'm hoping to see a lot more than just 5 carries from you tomorrow night. Best of luck, and thank you so much for joining us, Demetrius.
All right. Thank you for having me on.